morning. I swear a lot.
It is 2:58 in the PM, and you're listening to or watching The Foreman. I'm your host, Foreman, and I wanted to talk a bit more about the idea of actually retiring a series. It's difficult because obviously the best way to ensure that everyone knows that I'm doing that is to make a YouTube post, or at least that's the most time effective versus most reach kind of way to do it. Obviously the most effective way would be in fact to make a video. I guess I'm technically doing that now. But I wanted to talk a bit more about the details behind it because I can't explain all of it in a YouTube post because, you know, people don't necessarily want to read an essay, right? I understand this, and I appreciate this. So I wanted to take an opportunity to kind of expound upon my thoughts on it, the process involved, because this isn't the first time we've done this. I retired Subnautica, and I also retired Phoenix Wright. These are some pretty high-profile games that were performing well. It's not even just a decision made purely on the basis of a video's performance in regards to views and engagement that causes me to potentially retire it, because like I said, Phoenix Wright and Subnautica were doing really well. People liked those. People liked those quite a lot. And people, not a lot of people are usually pretty chill about this. I don't want to make up bad behavior that isn't happening. But some people were kind of upset when I stopped doing those. I remember I stopped doing Phoenix Wright and one person was like, oh, is Phoenix Wright not good enough for the big important YouTuber? And I was like, this game's published by Capcom. This is one of the higher profile games out there. What are you talking about? But I digress. With Ender Magnolia specifically, this video is being made in regards to my decision to retire Ender Magnolia. It's a shame because Ender Magnolia is a really good game. It is so well made. In terms of its gameplay, the gameplay is super tight, right? Very responsive. Everything works properly. Most people play it on controller. I play it on keyboard, and people were like, oh, I'm not sure if playing it on keyboard's a great idea. And I played on keyboard absolutely fine, which shows how well the game is made, because in some cases it's like, oh yeah, you can play this on keyboard, but you should really play on a controller because, you know, it's a bit fucky on keyboard. Looking at you, Elden Ring, Jesus Christ, playing that on keyboard is a nightmare. But yeah, Ender Magnolia is a really good game. But the simple fact of the matter is, I found the experience of actually recording it to be a drag. I found it to be a chore, not playing the game itself. If I was sat quietly playing the game, I think I'd enjoy it quite a lot. In fact, I'm 90% certain I would. I'm literally recording this the moment I put up the post saying, hey, we're not doing this anymore, and the poll is going up. By the time this video goes up, chances are the poll for the next game will have happened at a similar time, if not soon after, something along those lines. I don't know, it's not going to be an exact time, but that aspect that I'm telling you about now is probably the biggest factor when deciding whether or not to retire a series, because there's a bit of a balance that needs to be achieved when doing something like YouTube, when you're trying to make a passion of yours, something you enjoy, into a business, into something you can live off of, right? Now, on the one hand, you need to make sure you're doing what you want to do, because, and I've said this a million times before, you'll have heard this sentiment from me more than a few times, but if you're doing this and you're not doing what you want to do and you're not enjoying it, then you may as well go work in retail, because you also wouldn't enjoy that, but you'd probably make more money. And it would be probably more secure, right? Because YouTube's constantly fluctuating, and I don't know what the hell they're doing half the time, and they're trying to introduce a system where our ad placements are generated by an AI, and we won't have any say on where those ads go anymore. I don't know if that's actually going to happen, because I opted out of that as soon as it became a thing, and apparently if you've opted out of it before a certain point, you're still okay, but maybe you're not, I don't know. And there was a really big, maybe not really big, but there was a notable Dragon Ball Z theory crafter who quit YouTube entirely, partially because of this system coming in, and he was like, well, it's just not going to be feasible to make content anymore, alongside some other issues. That was not the only reason, but it was a significant factor that he brought up, and it's definitely caused me a lot of stress too. This is wandering off topic. Let me try and bring it back. My point is that this is neither the easiest nor most stable way to make a living, so you better fucking enjoy it. And if I'm recording something and I'm not enjoying the process of recording it, then I have to sit there and ask myself, why am I doing this? Because it's not, this is just not a, it's not a business where doing what you don't want to do makes any sense, because you're barely making any fucking money anyway, and you might as well do something else. However, this does also counterbalance against another aspect of this, and that's that sometimes you have to just knuckle down and do what you gotta do, right? Like sometimes, there's truth, speaking some real truths here, sometimes I can't be asked to play Limbus Company. Now, Limbus Company is great, and I love the characters in it, and I enjoy the gameplay when it actually decides to grow some teeth, which is not as often as I personally would like, but that's just me, you know? Don't want to speak for anyone else on that front. But sometimes it's like, today, what are we doing today? Look over the schedule. Today's Limbus. Today's Limbus. So I'm just going to be reading shit for like an hour or 2 hours or so. Don't get me wrong, sometimes I'm really G'd up to play Limbus. Sometimes I really like doing it. Sometimes I can't be fucking asked. But that is one where I'm like, Foreman, you gotta knuckle down and just do it, right? Because, I mean, Project Moon is kind of what got the channel to where it is now. And I gotta pay some I gotta pay some tax, you know, because I owe the Project Moon community quite a lot, as it turns out. Don't get me wrong, just because I owe them a lot doesn't mean I'll make myself miserable for them, right? I learned that lesson from Ruiner, and I will never unlearn that lesson. But that is a series where even if on occasion I'm not feeling it, I know I need to knuckle down and get on with it. A lot of the time I am feeling it, so it's absolutely fine. But I've been tossing over this decision-making process in my head for like the past month or so, I'd say, about Ender Magnolia, because I was just not feeling it less and less and less over time. Like I said, I enjoy the action of playing the video game. I enjoy playing as Lilac. I enjoy exploring the levels and fighting enemies and utilizing my abilities and getting into boss fights. These things are great. I love doing all of them. But the act of presenting it as a commentator, as a Let's Player, is just a bit dull. And I feel like the writing for this was on the wall right from the start, where I was barely talking about the game half the time and was talking about random crap, which was fun to begin with. But a person only has so much random crap they can talk about before they have to sit there and be like, right, the game in front of me. Hey, it's not raining. That's weird, right? Because it was raining all the time in Ender Lilies. Oh, it is raining now, okay. And like, I don't know, I just don't find that's enough. Weirdly, I don't know why there felt like there was more to talk about in Ender Lilies, but there kind of was. And that's the weird thing to me while playing it, is that I felt more engaged, I felt more invested, I felt more energy playing Ender Lilies than I did playing Ender Magnolia, despite the fact that Ender Magnolia has more dialogue, more characters, more in-depth characters, and more concepts. Yet Ender Lilies just gripped me a bit more, and I don't know why. I think I know why. I have a theory for it, actually. And it is actually addressing one of the game's greatest strengths as also being one of its greatest weaknesses, in my opinion, of course. It's all just in my opinion. I'm not stating facts at you, okay? Ender Magnolia is Ender Lilies but better, right? Or maybe I could rephrase that. Ender Magnolia is Ender Lilies but more refined and more of it, okay? Now this is great because, you know, you played Ender Lilies, you really liked it, and then you boot up Ender Magnolia and you're like, oh yay, it's just the same game, but more. And then you play it for a while, and you play more and more, and then you're like, it's the same game, but more. You know what I mean? It's a great strength of it, which is the fact that it is basically just Ender Lilies, but more is also its greatest weakness, in that you're sat there and you're like, yep, this is Ender Lilies, alright? It's just Ender Lilies. It's literally just a game, and it harkens back to that annoying thing that consumers do, and I'm obviously not an exception to this because I'm a consumer of this product just like you, if you've played it. The audience thinks they want the same thing, but what they actually want is the same thing but differenter, but more different, but with lots of different shit in it. And The thing is, Ender Magnolia could have changed up the formula in a massive way and then caught flack from its fucking audience, only then for people to be like, actually, these changes are really good. Or it could keep things virtually the same like it has done, and people are happy with them, but the interest just kind of peters out. And I think that's what's happened to me, where I was like, I don't know, the whole time playing Ender Magnolia, I think in the back of my head, I was just like, I've already done this. I've already done this. This is the same experience as before. Which is fine from a gameplay perspective, from a sit down and play this game I'm really comfortable with and enjoy experience, but from a commentator's perspective, repetition is death. For comedy, for insight, for conversation, for the formulation of new ideas and new perspectives and expressing feelings and talking about things, repetition is death. And I repeated that just to hammer the point home in an incredibly backwards way. But I can't just do the same thing again. It's boring. It's dull. It's dull from a commentator's perspective. I need new experiences. I need different experiences. A lot of people in the early days of LobCorp and Ruiner and stuff were wondering why I don't just play Project Moon shit all the time, and I said to them, because it would be boring, because my brain would stagnate playing the same shit over and over and over again, and it would also turn those games into a chore, into work. And I'm not playing them for fun anymore, I'm playing them to make a paycheck. Figuratively speaking, of course. And that's just not the way to be, I don't think. It's why I can never run a themed channel, which I've talked about before, because that game becomes work. It ceases to be something you love and are passionate about and just becomes a source of revenue. And of course, as an LPer, video games have just become a source of revenue, but me changing it up in the way that I am and mixing things up and doing things that are different and trying out different things is my way of making sure it never actually becomes just a source of revenue, because I'm very passionate about video games. I always have been since I was a small child. I was always more interested in playing video games than I was playing with other people, then going outside, then talking to people. My parents thought I had a problem. I probably did, but the problem has turned into a solution because now it's my business. But the diversity of experience is necessary in order for me to A, enjoy this, and B, perform well. And it would be a situation like, as I said before, recording Ender Magnolia became a chore, and I would have those days where it came up where, okay, it's time to play Ender Magnolia, and I'd be sat here and I'd be like, I could be recording XCOM, or I could be recording Night Rain, or I could be getting on top of Canto 8 in Limbus, because, I'm kind of behind on that, to be honest. Like, I could be doing any of these things, but I'm recording Ender Magnolia. I wouldn't mind playing it, but I'm recording it, and I had to sit there and I would sit here and be like, well, I can't be asked to record it, and it's not performing very well. And I know, I'm sure, as I've said this, many people will pop up and be like, yeah, I get the feeling you weren't really feeling it. I don't know. I feel like I did a pretty decent job of not conveying that. I did my best to be invested in the game. I did my best to put myself in it. I did my best to present it as well as I could. But I don't know, it's just after a certain point I couldn't muster any real enthusiasm. It's possible the game was just too cozy for me. It was actually too cozy for me to present effectively. And I guess it was I don't know. I was about to say I guess it was a bit too easy, but I haven't got to the end, so that's not a fair statement to make. It probably gets harder. But I wasn't feeling engaged. I wasn't feeling engaged from a gameplay perspective because I wasn't being properly challenged. And not that I necessarily have to be, but this leads into the next thing. I also wasn't being engaged from a narrative or emotional standpoint. I don't really care about Lilac, and that sucks, but she's not interesting. She has, at this point in the story, I haven't beaten it, so maybe things kick up later, but she has nothing interesting to say. Nola, I think it's Nola. Nola doesn't have much interesting to say. The Shackled Beast has interesting things to say, but he's not there a lot of the time. I don't know, I just wasn't engaged. It did not engage me, and I did not engage with it as a result of not being engaged with. And that's bad for a series, because I, admittedly, the game that I'm playing when doing a video is a crutch. I use it to springboard off of. It's a platform to present the video from. And it requires me to be interested in the game, and it also requires you to be interested in the game. And many of you are. Many of you do like Ender Magnolia. You know, there's a lot of you who really like it, and I feel bad for canceling it. But there are a lot more of you who are just not interested, and that's okay. You don't have to be interested. You don't have to watch series you're not interested in. I don't want to take people's time and have them feel like they're obliged to give me their time, you know? If you don't like a series, you don't like a series, and that's totally fine. But this also comes with the caveat that if I feel like a game is just not providing me with enough worthy of my time in regards to recording, because my time spent recording is very different to my time spent just playing games for fun. There are different values that need to be accounted for, to different scales as well. I have to be strong enough and brave enough and decisive enough to stand here and go, no, this has to end because we're going nowhere slowly. It's not really doing what I need it to, and I'm not really getting what I want from it, and I'm not even that interested in doing it anyway. It sucks because, like I keep saying, and I will keep saying this because I want to drill the fucking point home, Ender Magnolia is really good. It's a really good game. I would recommend you buy it and play it if you haven't already, because it is really good. But from a recording perspective, it's a bit mid. There is a different quantifiable value that games have between their ability to play in your own time and their ability to be presented. I can actually think of an excellent example for you right now, and that is the 40k mod for XCOM, the original one. You know, I did a Foreman's Unedited Carefree Corner on XCOM 40k, like, I don't know, a couple weeks ago or so. That is a game that I love playing in my off time. I'm doing it, like, at the moment, in fact. I'm playing it a lot in my off time, and it's cutting into my night rain time because I'm now stuck in a struggle between deciding which of the two I want to play. But that game is dog shit to present. Like, if I properly knuckled down and edited it, I could probably put out a series of that, to be honest, and I'd probably really enjoy it because I love XCOM. But it's a visual mess, and it's just, I don't know, some people like that, but not many, and it is not an easy game to present. At least XCOM 2 has a lot of visual flair and more easily readable mechanics, which allow the viewer to understand more about what's going on without me having to sit there and painstakingly explain it. And, you know, the visual of someone firing their pistol and capping an Advent trooper and him dropping like a sack of rocks is visually satisfying and cinematic, whereas in XCOM original, not quite so much, you know? I'm not necessarily saying that Ender Magnolia as a game is actually bad to record, because it's distinctly possible there are content creators out there who have actually done really good series of it, and hats off to them if they have, because I bet they exist and I bet they're very talented and good at it. But for me, it just didn't fit. For my personal style, my personal way of approaching these things, it just didn't fit. It just didn't work out. I just couldn't quite... I don't know, I keep saying this like it's a failure of mine, and that's only partially true. The fact of the matter is I just didn't really enjoy recording it, and I think that in of itself would be enough reason. There are more behind them, as I've explained, but that in of itself is the big one. That is kind of the biggest one. If I don't enjoy recording something, what am I doing? What's the point? There is no purpose. Appeasing people through a lie sometimes has value, but a lot of the time, it's not worth it. Not for what you do to yourself. And that sounds a lot more dramatic. Let me be clear, it's not like I've been silently suffering over the past few weeks or so. I did enjoy Ender Magnolia, and recording it wasn't awful, but I just can't be arsed. I don't know. It is a hard to quantify feeling, and it's one I'm learning to trust. But if I sit down in my chair and think, I've got to record this today, can't really be bothered, that says a lot, doesn't it? That says everything. Now, I'm not going to cancel a series because of one occasion in which I sit down and think can't be bothered, because that would be unwise. That is far too impulsive. That is a decision made far too quickly, right? And indeed, it has been the case of Ender Magnolia. I did not just sit down one day and go, fuck it, I'm done. I analyzed my own feelings on it extensively, where I was like, how did I feel sitting down for this? Well, I didn't want to. Okay, how about next time? I didn't want to. Okay, how about the time after that? Still didn't want to. Time after that? Nope. And then the time after that, I went, nah, I've given thee courtesy enough, you know, I've given it as many chances as I reasonably can. Because, frankly, if I was really enjoying it, and if I was really engaged with recording it, I wouldn't care if it was only getting 50 views per video. That wouldn't matter. Because, A, I'm enjoying it, so that's what counts. B, Limbus pays for it, so it's absolutely fine. And C, I know a lot of people like to wait until a series is finished before they start watching it themselves. Or perhaps later they want to finish the game themselves and then come back and check it out later on. All these things are fine. Performance is a factor, but it's not the deciding factor. You know, engagement and views and stuff. It's not the deciding factor. The core behind it is, am I enjoying recording and editing this? Yes or no? And if it's a no, then we explore why and what can be done about it and to what degree am I not enjoying it. Because if I can fix it, I will. You know, if I can't, then that's it, isn't it? I already knew it was a bad sign when I started feeling that so early on and was like talking but not really talking about the game and just talking crap and stuff. But it was also a case of even the act of making the Ender Magnolia recordings shorter than like anything else I'm doing at the moment did not help with my unwillingness to sit down and record it. Even though I knew it was only going to be like an hour, I couldn't be bothered, which is a problem. That is a problem, and I have to be willing to look at it and go, yeah, that's a problem, and you need to do something about it. You can't just continue like that because it's not gonna work. And eventually, I don't know. I guess there is something to be said for just gritting your teeth and getting on with it, but I'm gonna actually address the selfishness of this. I don't fucking want to, and that's the end of it, isn't it? Really. It's not great, and it doesn't feel great to say, but I just don't want to. I work really hard doing this shit, and I don't feel like I should force myself to do shit I don't like. And I should be clear to clarify one more time, the thing I don't like is very specifically recording Ender Magnolia. Playing it is great. I don't like recording it, and I know I've repeated that so many times, but you'd be surprised how many times people on the internet, A, don't hear what you're saying, and B, skip ahead so they miss important context. They hear a couple keywords, then go into the comments and shout at you about it. This happens to me quite a lot, especially in Limbus. But, you know, it's a shame. I would have liked to have given Ender Magnolia a full series. But the thing is, more than that, I would have liked to enjoy giving Ender Magnolia a full series. It's important to enjoy it. I forced myself to do shit I don't like a lot in my life, and I'm not going to do it here. Because the whole point of this is me doing something I want to do. It is crucially important to me to maintain that, because the more concessions you make in that regard, I find, not just in regards to this specific thing I'm doing, but in life, the more concessions you make in that regard, the more you end up making. It's a bit of a downward spiral, or it can be anyway. And I'm not willing to subject myself to that anymore. I have in the past, I will not now. If I'm not enjoying something, I will drop it, because it just seems like the way to go. You guys are very understanding. I'm not like having a go at you and preempting like all this horrible negative reaction, because most of you, 99% of you, are going to be chill, and I appreciate you for that. I really do, and it's why I feel comfortable knowing I can do this, and you will understand. Not necessarily be happy, and I apologize for that front. That is one thing I will actually apologize 100% for. I'm sorry to cancel a series that you enjoy. I genuinely am sorry. I don't want to. I don't want to deprive you of something that you like. But I know a lot of you will be okay with it, because you know it leads to new stuff, and new stuff is exciting, new series are exciting, and it brings new experiences which are exciting, and that's what we're all about here, is new experiences in video games, finding new shit, experiencing new shit, enjoying new things, seeing new worlds, new narratives, new characters, new gameplay mechanics, new concepts. This is the fun. And sometimes you know, you have to cut off an infected limb to get there. Yeah, I won't drag this out any longer because I don't think it's necessary to do so, but I wanted to expound a bit more upon my thoughts and feelings on the subject. Feel free to share yours as well. I hope I've offered some clarity, and you might be able to see where I'm coming from on this. It's distinctly possible I've actually made it worse, and you're like, well, you know, actually, Foreman, I wasn't particularly bothered by your decision, believed it was your right to do so, but after listening to you today, I think you're full of shit, and I'm like, oh. My attempts to fix the problem have made it worse. But I would be interested to hear your thoughts on the subject. Once again, I'm very sorry to cancel Ender Magnolia, but like I've just spent all this time shouting about and ranting over and what have you, I feel like it needed to be done. I feel like it was necessary. I think I'm justifying it to myself more than I'm explaining myself. Whatever. Friends, that's all for today. Thank you so much for watching. Special thanks to our members and patrons: Volt Wolf, Miscreant, Rakuriku, Crescent, Sonny the Horse, Lila Hexira, Abyssal Angie, Lumi, Svihart, Mighty PH, Ensistora, E, Lanthelion, Gage Donaldson, Hotraman, Saga, Jack, Ninja Dog, Ember Fox, Grand Captain General Peace, Mean Baby Black Turtle, Cuds, Canis Mario, Poe, Portrait Blabrek, Lifesteal, Mega Mr. Z-Man, Unclever Name, Summercat Flanny, Pinch Goon, Lip Potatoes, Proxy, Caminera Moa, Heartland, Harak J, Dresso, Sion Distance, Lol, Etherbin Linky, Xeon Cedar, Bimbord, Alkia, Honeydew, Sweet Baby Red, Jessica D. Plutonium Pie, Jumago, Slap Lullaby, K-Bob, Magic Cow, The Frostbite, SCP-106A, Namad, and Kenny, TA100, for supporting me on YouTube and on Patreon. Thank you so much, guys, and thank you all so much for watching. Yeah, it never feels good to cancel a series, even if I'm not particularly enjoying it. It doesn't feel good to cancel it. I don't like it. It feels like I've backed down from some kind of challenge. But sometimes you gotta make decisions. Sometimes you gotta be less emotional and more pragmatic, as it were, and that's what I'm trying to do here with this. I also don't want to make a huge deal out of it over every time I cancel a series, because I know, once again, most of you are chill with it, but I don't know, it almost feels like a breakup. Like, it's a weird feeling, but it's a similar range of emotions and feelings to breaking up with someone, where I'm like, I'm sorry, we just, you know, it's just not quite what I'm looking for, and it's not you, it's me, and I need to try out other things and explore other things and have new experiences, you know, and it's just not meant to be. It's very silly. It's very silly, but yeah. The poll will be starting again soon. Hi-Fi Rush is on there, so if you want that, make sure you fucking vote for it. And there'll be a suite of other games on there as well, which I might need to actually update the wheel before I start that to make sure we've got some new options available, other stuff I might want to play and other stuff you guys might want to see. Make sure to cast your vote, because you can't be upset at the result if you didn't vote. If you did vote, you're allowed to be upset. That's the rule, but that's all from me. Thank you so much for watching. Whatever happens next time, hope I see you there. Doodles. Goodbye.